Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, welcome back to another awesome edition of the Best Practices Show. Have you ever thought to yourself, how do I grow and keep great team members? Like, I need some new thinking. Well, if you're thinking that, we're bringing it today with one of the world's best teachers in dentistry. Her name is Dr. Bockow. And today she shares her secrets on how she's growing and keeping great team members. You have to listen to this. I know you'll enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. You know the jam. You know the jam. I know the jam. I love this. I get to be a professional CE taker with some of the best minds in all of the world. And you're going to see one of the most brilliant human beings ever on the planet ever. And she is just awesome. Her name is Dr. Bockow. And we've had her on talking a lot of clinical stuff. If you haven't listened to the podcast and listened to her talk clinical, you got to go back. It's amazing. But today we're going to pivot. We're going to talk about integrating your team. And this is truly one of the biggest challenges you'll have as a dentist ever. So if you're driving to work right now, you might be thinking a lot of things, but one of the biggest challenges you'll ever have is like, how do I grow, nurture, keep an amazing group of people around me so I can enjoy going to work and they can too. So Becca, thanks for being on. I always appreciate you.
I say it goes both ways, Kirk. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So I want people to know a little bit about you before we go, because we've had you on the podcast many times, but give us a little bio. Who's Becca Bockow? Because I want the listeners to know we have a lot of young students now. Who am I listening to today when we talk about team? Who are you, Becca? What do you do?
Well, I'm a dual trained orthodontist, periodontist. I have two practices in Seattle and Bellevue, Washington. And Kirk, I guess for the purposes of our conversation today, I think if we think back to who are we, I think a lot of who we are is flavored by our experiences. And so from early jobs in middle school, high school, all the way through college, and then working as an associate in a dental practice, going back to residency, and then doing a startup practice, and ultimately purchasing two practices. I've learned a lot along the way. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I probably will continue to make mistakes. So I'm excited to talk today about team, because that's really a big piece of what we do every day.
Yeah, I love it. And maybe start here. So from your perspective, two practices, your experience, what's the why behind this? Like, help me understand. If I'm a young dentist and I don't even own my own practice yet, like, what do I need to know about team as I go out into the world and start doing this with patients?
Well, I think, to maybe a tangent to your question, this year, during COVID, I think it gave all of us this pause point to sit back and reflect on who we are and where are we going and what do we really want our practices to be about. And we had this beautiful mission vision statement. It was all centered around the patients. What do we do for the patients? And we actually rewrote our mission and vision statement this year, and we added a new clause to talk about what do we do as a team for each other. And one of my goals as a business owner, a practice owner, is to not only provide great care for our patients and for our community, but also to provide this wonderful, amazing workplace for everybody that gives so much of their lives to helping our patients and our practice, and creating a place where everyone can grow.
Yeah. I love it. Now, you are truly a superstar in dentistry, but you're also a normal person, And so help us understand, like, you don't live in this special place where super highly qualified people are beating down your door and they just want to work, or maybe you do. I don't know. Like, you have the same challenges that anybody else has. Would you agree?
Yes, of course. And I think we we are very intentional with our culture, and we really want to once again create a place where people feel fulfilled, where people feel like they're appreciated, like they're constantly learning, and they're constantly coming to a place where we've created safety. And I know we're going to talk a lot more about some of the things we do day to day to make that happen.
Yeah. Now go back to the COVID thing, because you mentioned this. COVID was a wake up call for you, and you really wanted to build something in your core processes. And you mentioned CE. Can you talk about the vision behind that? What was the pivot you guys made in regards to that?
Yeah. So I love learning new things, and I'm constantly reevaluating what I do as a clinician every day. And when I change the way I look at a patient, and when I change my patient processes, that changes clinic flow, it changes the way we schedule, it changes what we do chairside. And on top of that, especially in orthodontics, but in all aspects of dentistry, we do day to day, we might do a piece of something, but not any one person, except maybe the doctor, sees the whole thing. And so we started really incorporating a lot of CE internally, everything from how to take a great impression to how to take great photography to big picture stuff like why do we even consider jaw surgery, and what is it doing, to what's the most current literature about skeletal growth and development and sleep. Yeah. And so once a month at each office, we do a 1 hour CE, and we have built-in training time into our weekly schedules. I think Kirk, you and I were talking before we went live about the importance of not only attracting great people on our team, but retaining them and keeping them interested and excited. And part of that comes from just constantly learning. And it's learning big picture stuff like, why does expansion help nasal breathing? And how does that help reduce airway collapsibility? But also, how do we incorporate text messaging into our systems? And we now can offer 3D printed ceramic brackets that are computer designed. And how does that work with our workflow? Do we have to change our bonding material? Do we have to change our protocols? How does that impact scheduling? And once we make those decisions, educating the team and helping that flow. So we've introduced a lot of layers to help with personal growth, professional growth, and constantly looking for ways to not just train the team, but celebrate learning, value and celebrate learning.
I love it. I have so many questions. Okay. So how have team members felt about this process? What have they told you? What's been some of the feedback as a result of what you've implemented?
I've heard from our team that they enjoy being able to contribute to the bigger picture. They enjoy the opportunity to learn something new. They enjoy feeling like they're part of something that encourages and celebrates growth. And so creating opportunities for team members to grow individually, but also creating safe spaces for people to contribute their thoughts and ideas to ensure that they're heard and implemented, because it's not my practice anymore. It's our team's practice.
Right.
Everything from how we answer the phones to how we schedule to how we template the schedule. And we're constantly checking in on our systems and asking ourselves, do these systems still hold true? Do they need revision? How can we take what we've learned and implement it in a way that makes sense?
Yeah. I want to go back to something. You used one of my favorite words when it comes to cultivating and enriching a team is safe. You use safe twice. So I want to know the why behind that. When you say safe place or safe space, what does that mean?
I want my team to feel safe to share with me anything that they're struggling with, and also share with me any of their suggestions. They're going to live a different problem differently than I will. And I won't know how to make things better if they don't feel safe enough to come to me.
Love it.
Also, learning requires vulnerability. And the reality is we all make mistakes. And I'd much rather any given mistake becomes a learning opportunity so that we all can grow from it. Because if one person makes a mistake, chances are 3 more people might make the same mistake. And so is there something with our internal education or with our systems that maybe we need to refine? And so that safety becomes really important because we all grow and benefit from learning from that.
Amen. Amen. And when you talk about the internal education, so 1 a month in each of the practices, and it's an hour long, right? I just love seeing how this all works. And you and your partners run the education. I mean, pretty much determine what it'll be monthly.
Yes, for that portion. And then once a week, we have designated admin time in that we use for internal training. And then we also, on a daily basis, have different appointment types blocked off for different staff members who want to learn or improve different aspects of their clinical competencies. So if someone says, I'm not feeling really comfortable with banding, can we set aside some time so that I can sit with our clinic manager and she can sit alongside me and we can really delve into what does that entail to really find the right band fit, seat it, cement it.
Yeah, I love it. Now think about it. And I haven't asked you this, but if we're doing 1 hour seat, gosh, I'd love to be a team member just to learn. It's a whole nother level of learning, but you could possibly record those on Zoom and save them as videos that could train, because as you can imagine, you learn something once and then you're like, oh, remember that thing where Dr. Bockow did that like a year ago? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how you do it, but my question is how do we create space for that when new team members come in, we can get them caught up to speed? And that's going to be one of my next questions, but give me, do you record those or not? I
probably should. I didn't think of that. It's a great idea.
Hey, I'll facilitate them if I can just watch them and I'll give the recording back to you. How's that?
That's great. Well, and I can speak to onboarding too, because that's really been something my team has taken upon themselves in the last probably 2 years. We had some gut check moments where we said, we don't really have a great onboarding program. And so many team members came together and created onboarding programs, everything from shadowing different team members to watching online courses to sitting alongside team members, so that even the person answering the phones has sat in the clinic floor and watched an adjustment and watched what happens at an emergency appointment. And so that everybody has an understanding of what everybody else is doing. And it's been phenomenal, but truly, that was the team coming together to create this.
Yeah. We had the team from Bent Erickson here last month, and they gave us a lot of industry specific statistics. And they shared with us 50% of retention is onboarding. And
Wow.
So it's a lot higher than I thought. And they're like, no, that is so important. So kudos to you for doing that. And then I shared this with you, like, we joke, but it's not a joke. Are we onboarding team members or are we waterboarding them? Just giving them a ton of information, because it's a lot. I mean, it's just a lot.
Well, and I think something else we've really implemented, and Ben Erickson was helpful. We work with Ben Erickson too, but having 30, 60, 90-day check-ins and really asking the team members, how was your onboarding? How is your onboarding going? What areas do you feel like you still need some training and coaching in? And we really talk a lot about coaching. We have a lot of mentor-mentee roles within the practice. And anytime someone's having a hard time with something, we really look at it as a growth opportunity. How can we help you grow to a level where you feel more comfortable doing a procedure?
I love it. In a world of the sea of sameness in so many dental offices, the question always becomes like, how do we create a different experience here? People want to be here. And I always dreamed of a day, and we do the same thing. We do what are called check-ins. And I hate the word boss. Like, I get it, but I like the idea of coach. No, like, I'm just checking in. I got you. What do you need? Like, I always dreamed of a day, but until I got the term check-in. I didn't know how to do that. So.
And something we are piloting, this is new for us, Kirk, that we've thought a lot about it for about 6 months to put it into place. We're going to go live next month, is scheduled one-on-one time with a mentor mentee within the practice. And it's the mentee that sets the goal with the help of the mentor. And then there's going to be, we're hoping for about a 10-minute check-in once a week. Where are you at with your goals? What struggles are you up against to hit your goals?
Yeah. You're going to love it. Our coach made us do it years ago. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. And he's like, shut up. That's what he said to me.
Well, that's
he's
great.
like, you're going to, so it's mandatory. Everybody in our company has to have one every 2 weeks. So you have to. And you're right. The mentee runs the meeting. All I have to do is show up with an open heart and open ears. But I can't wait. We're going to do a follow-up because there's no one way to do it. You just got to figure out how to do it your way. Now, I want to go into this. You've done some specific things, and I absolutely love that. We're going to get an inside look into Becca Bockow's office. Like, so what do you do? And you mentioned them on a regular, that's changed the game for you.
The one thing that I can't imagine living without is our morning huddle. Our morning huddle, and we've tried things over the years, and maybe many of the listeners have as well, everything from looking over, every detail of the schedule, this and that. What we open with every day is, we call them shout outs. And so one person, it's kind of like a Quaker meeting. You speak when you're moved. So there's no order, and someone says something great or wonderful about someone else, something that someone else did the day prior. On Monday mornings, it can be a moment of gratitude. Often it's a reflection on what happened the week prior. And these are the opportunities where we really get to celebrate someone's learning and achievements. So if someone did their very first bonding, that someone else will often recognize that. I'm really proud of so-and-so because she did her first bonding yesterday, or someone that finishes ahead of their appointment time, or someone that took the time to set up somebody else's chair, or ran someone's instruments because someone was running late. And these small opportunities where we can really celebrate one another really has brought us much closer and really helped celebrate the team.
Yeah, I love it. So I'm going to be a little sarcastic because these are the questions I get. And you'll know where I'm going. So Becca, I totally get it. But morning huddles, come on. We've tried them. I don't have time for a morning huddle. I can't get there. What would you say to a dentist that says that?
Oh my goodness. I cannot practice without it. Cannot.
Why?
It unifies the team. It helps us get organized for the day. It helps set our mindset for the day. And importantly, it recognizes people for doing great things. And even small things, like I mentioned, great job. Someone helped jump into sterilization to help me because I couldn't get it all done. How amazing is that you're recognized for that small extra moment that you took. And then we go through the schedule very quickly and highlight anything that is important to know, but couldn't imagine going through the day without it.
Yeah. Now, again, here comes sarcastic question number 2. So you don't do today's production is $12,000 and like, okay. And you've been in some of those morning halls and you're like, okay, today's production on the schedule, we have this. I can read the schedule. I know what's coming in. You're doing it differently. And shout outs, that you just let people shout out. Is that how that works? Or
That's how it works.
Really? Now, another thing is you're not doing them all the time. So you've created a culture of engagement where they're doing it instead of you pointing it out all the time, right?
Oh, I get one.
Oh, you get one per
I get
week?
one. No, I get one per morning, but everybody else says something.
Okay. Very cool. I love it. But okay, here's question number 3. If you're familiar with the disc profiles, Becca, I love this, but I have all S's on my team and they're so sweet, but they don't like to talk up during meetings. I get that question all the time too. So how do I get them talking? Like, how do I do that?
You just create that culture of safety. And I think that really helps people. There's no wrong answer.
Right.
You can say, I'm grateful. I had a great dinner last night, and that can be it. So there's nothing designated, but I think it also forces us all to reflect on what happened the day prior. And then also while you're working, you're remembering, you're saying, oh, that's going to be my shout out for tomorrow. Yeah. And so really focusing our mindset on appreciation has been really fantastic.
Yeah. Now you've used another word that's my favorite is the gratitude. You said grateful, gratitude. And this has been a big thing for you in your practice. Tell us why. Why is gratitude so important in your life and with your team?
Well, I think going back to mindset, I think if we focus on what we're grateful for, it just makes the day so much better. I mean, you can walk through the day and say, oh, the schedule's too busy. Everybody's showing up late. Everything's broken. 10 broken brackets on the schedule. No one's, you can make a day bad or you can make a day good based on your mindset.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I had a coach say this one time because I live in the gap, which is the gap is like, I want everything to be the ideal, but it's not always in the ideal. So it's a big gap. And if you live there, like you go to a lot of courses that Becca presents or anything, you'll come back and go, my practice isn't quite that. And you can make other people miserable, which I didn't know. And so the only thing that closes a gap is gratitude. You just have to say, I have a team. It's America. Wow, I'm still healthy. Patients are coming in today,
Yeah.
So,
and how amazing that we're in a profession where we can help people.
Yeah.
And we have the power to create an office environment where people feel appreciated and people feel good coming to work. That in and of itself is a privilege.
Yeah. So you mentioned two other things that I want to ask you about, like the big picture. So, and people use big picture all the time, big picture, but big picture is an important piece for you, both practices and your team. What does that mean? And how do you incorporate big picture? How does that relate?
Well, in our, and I can use an example from our practice, but we might have someone tying in a bracket and someone else sees the patient the next time and they might be repairing a bracket. Maybe we're replacing a bracket. Someone ties them in 10 weeks later, 8 weeks later, but they never saw where they started from and where they finished because they might see different people. They might go to either office. They might see either doctor. And Dr. Trong and I, we have a vision of where we're headed, but to really sit down and show the team, this is where we started and this is where we finished, and to feel a lot of pride about the work that we put in and what differentiates us as a practice, to be able to treat someone non-extraction if that's appropriate, to be able to make them healthier. Some of the surgical cases, the TAD expander cases, and just even a straightforward Invisalign case, they're very rewarding. And to be able to say, I was a part of that.
Yeah.
The scheduling coordinators, they don't see inside the mouth. The treatment coordinators who present the treatment, but then they don't necessarily see the finish. They knew the plan, but they didn't see the finish. And so to be able to take that time and reflect on what did we just do? And how cool is that? One of our taglines for our practice is life-changing care. And to be able to really reflect on what does that mean? And what did we just do? And that's special.
Yeah, because that's a very bold, cool mission tagline. But as a team member, I might struggle with what that means. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, when you're sharing the why, in the big picture here, you're growing people, but they also have the ability to tell stories. You don't want to be the only storyteller in the practice. It's pretty fun for you, I would imagine, if a team member starts telling a story about why we're different and how special this place is. That's probably one of your favorite moments, right?
For sure.
Yeah. But that starts with you thinking that, and again, all roads lead back to this. It's the time thing and the value thing. You think you don't have enough time for this. And then you're like, that's silly. Like, what could be more important than growing these people? Now, I do have a specific question, and this is probably for you more. And, you get exposed to a lot of education, a lot of thinking. How in the world, Becca, if I have a team of people around me, like expectations are going to grow? I heard Frank say this years ago and he's like, you guys don't understand it. You don't do big cases and it's easy. It's actually harder, like big fee, big expectations. Same thing applies probably clinically to what you do. And as you grow as a clinician, your expectations are going to grow. How do I manage my expectations and bring people with me as I grow? Is there any insights you'd give me on that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that that's where the internal training comes in, especially if we have a new process or something that we're going to be introducing, or take a big step back. Does everyone understand the principles of bonding? Or why do we place brackets where we're placing them? Or how do we take great clinical photography? So having those built-in systems allows for checkpoints for people who've been with us for a long time to really make sure they're mastering. And I guess to that extent, if you can teach it, you really can have mastered it. And so having our more experienced team members teaching our newer team members, it's rewarding to be a teacher. It's rewarding to learn something new. And so creating time in the schedule for those learning opportunities helps build in, sorry to use the same word, but builds in opportunities so that when we gain new information, new ways of doing things, we can incorporate it into our day-to-day practice.
I love it. I love it. So if I'm listening and I'm a dentist, I'm like, Becca, I'm totally picking up what you're putting down. I get these questions again, so I'll pass them on. But okay, I have to find a few people. I can't even get people to answer ads. Here's my real question. Becca, how do I find great people that I can even start to do? Do you have any insight, any help that you can offer?
I think we all want to attract the right person, right people to the practice. And I think focusing our hiring on the right type of person. So some people that would be a good fit for our practice would be people that are excited to learn, people that have an open mind, and people with this mindset that we've talked about, because we are constantly changing. I've had staff tell me that, gosh, we're never doing the same thing. And that might not be the right fit for everybody. Some people that might drive them crazy, that we're always changing just a little bit. And so looking for mindset, and then having a really strong onboarding process, and making sure that people have training opportunities, check-in opportunities, creating that safety network for people to feel safe, to learn from their mistakes, and to have the vulnerability as a leader to recognize that maybe I'm not always right. Maybe I make a decision, hey, the schedule should be this way. And if the team comes to me and says, this is not working, we're feeling burnt out, or we can't get our work done, or we can't do a good job, then I need to listen, and I need to say, whoa, okay, let's talk about it. How can we make it better?
Yeah. Can I ask you, how many team members do you have today? Do you know?
We just hired our 27th.
Okay. Wow. I just hired 20. I never dreamed. I was like 8 max. So talk about this, because this happens for everybody that's listening. You start your practice and you have 3 team members. You go to lunch, you go to courses together, then it grows, and then you have 8. And then the dynamic changes, the communication changes. 27. What have you learned for sure from going from 3 to 27? What advice would you give us? What do I need to know about that?
I think everything we've talked about is really key. And I think also, having open communication and having opportunities for communication, growing leaders within the practice. And that's something I'm so proud of, is we have tiers of leaders within the practice that have grown. They've been with me I have a handful of people who've been with me for 6 years, which I am just so humbled by, so proud of. People have grown with me, grown alongside me, and they are excited about these initiatives. They're excited about creating onboarding manuals, and they're excited about the one-on-ones. It's not me meeting with everybody. It's our tiers of leaders that they themselves get to take new leadership roles on, and they will grow from that.
Yeah. Just go back and expand on that, because I love that. 2 things have happened. I've learned this the hard way, is like when you grow leaders that grow other leaders, number one, it's very fulfilling to your soul. Like it's one of your favorite things you ever do, but it also frees up time. Do you know what I mean? Like lots of time, because that's one of the limiters we have, is like, who's going to do all this? When you grow leaders that grow other leaders, it frees up time. And was that the case for you?
No, it 100% frees up time and things get done better.
Tell me more.
I am not the best person to teach someone how to take an iTero scan.
You're not?
I'm not the best person to teach our new scheduling coordinator how to manage the front desk.
Yeah.
I'm not the best person to take on a lot of these tasks, and my team is better at it than I am. I might think I'm pretty good at it, but the reality is they're better. And to give them once again, the trust, the psychological safety, the training, and the opportunities to grow, once again, I get excited watching them grow, for sure, 100%.
I love it. All right, we're going to do a yearly follow-up because everything you're doing is super cool. And I have no doubt 1 year from now, you're going to do even cooler stuff. And we're going to share those secrets with the world. I feel like I get an inside look at what's really going on in one of the top practices in the United States. So any last thoughts, Becca, just on this whole subject that's so important? What would you say to somebody listening?
I think, once again, we focus so much on our patient care, but at least for me, the mission and vision of our practice has really evolved to also include to really create a wonderful place for our employees to come to work. Like we said at the beginning, I don't even want to say employees, this is our team. And it's family to me. And I care so deeply about each person that's on our team. And I love celebrating everyone's successes. And I love supporting learning and growth. And that's really powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate this so much. And I'm just telling you guys, if you're listening, you got to check out what Becca is up to. Her stuff is amazing. You got to see her speak. I would highly encourage, if you haven't had her speak to your study, what are you thinking? Like, get her to your study club. Go see her speak at Spear. And Becca, you have an amazing workshop coming up in Kirkland, Washington with Dr. Gunson, who is brilliant. And I want you to tell people what the workshop is, the dates, and then we're going to put a link. So if you guys are listening to the podcast, I don't care if you're listening to Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google, don't worry if you're not taking notes, we're taking notes for you. Flip up to the notes. You'll see a link where you can just click it. You can go right there and register. But Becca, what is it?
It's 3 days. It's growth and development, speech, TMJ, open bites, under bites, cross bites, gummy smiles, surgery, ortho, expansion. It's October 26th to 28th. It's Gunson and myself for 3 days. And we put it together because we love to teach. And it's the two of us. We put it on ourselves. We do it once a year. And we get a ton of interdisciplinary teams that come: speech therapists, pediatric dentists, periodontists, oral surgeons, orthodontists, restorative dentists. I think we have a sleep physician coming this year. We've had it's just a really amazing collection of people that come. And so there's a lot of learning that comes from the lectures, a lot of core cases, a lot of literature, and then there's also wonderful discussions among the participants because we're all learning from each other.
Love it. Love it. You have to check it out. So if you register before September 26th, you get $1,100 off. Is that how that works? Like, it's a great opportunity. Now, the only problem is, and I didn't even ask you this before we went live, I'm hoping this airs. I don't even know where we are in this. I hope this airs way before so people can register. But would it be okay, Becca, if people mention the podcast, they still get the discount if for some reason they register after the 26th? Are you cool with that?
I'm cool with that. That's okay. Great.
So do this. If you listen to the podcast and you're like, shoot, it's after September 26th, I still want to go. Just so, hey, I listened to the podcast and Becca will give you $1,100 off. Look at that. I've never said that on this podcast ever, but you said okay. We call it voluntolding. I just totally talked you into that. So that's cool. Awesome. So make sure you guys check that out. And again, all the links will be down below in the podcast. So Becca, thank you so much for being on. I always appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kirk. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Stick around while we say goodbye to everybody else. But thank you guys for listening to the Best Practices Show. Hey, if you enjoyed today, do us a favor. Please hit the share button. I love it. I don't know how it's working. I don't even care. We're just going to keep bringing it with some of the best minds in all of dentistry. And we just have one goal. I want you to listen to this. Whether you're cutting the grass, driving to work, going on a walk, I want you to feel better about your practice and your life. And then we've done our job. So until we see you guys next time, or you hear from us next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy your day.